Hi everybody, it's me, Torrez, and you may know me from being on the radio on Hot 97 and also being the music director. But today I'm with MadameNoire and we're in this room. Honestly, I didn't really think I was going to get into radio. I wanted to be a talk show host and I wanted to be Ricky Lake because I admired her so much. And I talk about it a little bit deeper in my book that's coming out. But I always saw myself in front of the camera. And I used to practice in the mirror. I used to daydream and read and take my mind to those places. So whenever I want something, I visualize it first. And I was in high school at the time when little Kim was at the club. And my cousin's mom owned the club. And I was down south at the time. It was this club called Kilimanjaro's. Well, she was the manager at it. And I was waitressing there to make extra money, and I saw Baby J and Tessa, who happened to do morning radio at Z93 Jams in Charleston, South Carolina. They were my generation breakfast club, let me just say. And I was like, wow. And I used to serve them drinks like champagne and the expensive bottles, and they hung out with all the celebrities, and they were tipping me really well. And I was like, wow. This looks fun. So I just asked them if I can come and just shadow them for a day. And that's kind of how I got my introduction into radio. And I went to college. I went to Norfolk State University. And I started working at WNSB 91.1. And that's kind of when I caught the radio bug. And I was like, wow, it's the music, the culture, the vibe. At that time, you know, Ray J had Wait a Minute out on the radio. Little Mo was popping. Put It On Me was popping. Like Destiny's Child was popping. So it was just an amazing time. And I was like, yo, I could make money off of this just by being my natural self on the radio. Oh man, I was driving that bus too. I couldn't drive it no more. When I first got into the radio game, I had so many program directors that would say, oh, you know, you need to be more like Angie Martinez. You're Spanish, she's Spanish. You're from New York, she's from New York. Then I had program directors that would say, oh, you're too this, you're too that. Or I had program directors say, oh, be more like Jonesy or be more like this. And then, you know, you try and pattern yourself like these people that the higher ups try to make you become, and then you're like, well, that ain't me. I'm not her. She's special. That's what makes her special. I want to be me. And so sometimes that takes a little give and take, right? And that takes a little coaching and developing and really understanding like what is your talent, but also working on your craft to be better. And once I understood this is who I was able to walk into a radio station and negotiate what I wanted up front. I wasn't afraid of that. You know what I mean? And I wasn't afraid to speak up for myself. And I wasn't afraid to say, no, I'm not changing my name again. Or, you know, nope, I don't want to talk about that. You know, but it's a give and take. It's balance. It's like giving them what they want and also being true to who you are. There have been plenty of times in my career that I felt defeated. Plenty of times. You know, I speak about this in my book as well. I really wrote this book because I wanted young women in particular who want to get into this game, understand what obstacles you got to face and really how to overcome them. And that's just in any field, right? Because you can apply this whether you're working at, you know, the post office. I, you know, have been fired from jobs that, you know, I was really devastated over. Like my first job, you know, that I got full time in radio was doing middays at 94.3 in Charleston, South Carolina. I was producing the West Palm Morning Show and I was doing middays 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then one day, the owner of the company, it was Concord Media at the time, they after my shift, they're like, can you come into the office? And I was like, okay. So the owner of the company fired me over the phone. He didn't even have the audacity to come in and tell me I was fired. He fired me over the phone. And I just remember crying, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay my rent? I was only making $21,000 a year at the time. I remember just being so devastated and crying. And Russ Parr, you know, I had built a relationship with him from producing his morning show. And he's like a really big mentor to me. And he was a really big fish in Radio 1 because he was like one of the first black men outside of Tom Joyner who had a real successful syndicated morning show. And when I got fired, you know, I was crying. And he was like, girl, you haven't made it in this business till you've been fired a few times. Dust yourself off, drive to DC, I'll set you up with a meeting with Daryl Huckabee, who was a PD at the time, and you're gonna be all right. And so, long story short, I was all right. And, you know, during my time that I was actually, you know, doing really well on the radio, there were moments that like, okay, I wanna be syndicated. And that didn't necessarily happen. Or I want to go to the bigger markets and I would interview and I would do, you know, the greatest auditions. And, you know, my interviews were just so crazy on the internet and like I didn't get the gig. And, it, you know, I remember just one of them being in a bigger market. And I was like, wow, like, and those were devastating moments. But those moments made me like, okay, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. And I set a goal for myself. When I was in Richmond, which is like market number 50, I was like, when I leave here, I will be in the #1 market. Like I was dead set on coming to New York and nothing was going to change that. And I worked my ass off. And when my contract was up, I had a job in New York. I think what carries me to these places is the need to succeed. That burning fire to not want to fail. It's like, I can't really describe it. It's undescribable. It's like this burning desire to be the best. And what does it take to be the best? And you never stop. You keep going. You keep working. You keep pushing the envelope. You get up every day. You put your game face on. You get in the game and you score every night. You know, and then when you have bad nights, you get up again and you make it work. It's just that desire to like, just want to be the best. For women that want to lead, the biggest thing I can tell you is to lead by example. Be the leader that you want to be. So if you're an intern, be the best intern. If you are someone that is just getting into the game and perhaps you're just running the boards, be the best board op that you want to be. If you are a young girl who is an assistant to an A&R, but you want to become a big A&R person one day, be the best assistant to the A&R that you could possibly be. Do the hard work to become the leader that you want to become. LaMonda Williams, she's the first female program director that actually took me under her wing and really showed me the game from a woman's perspective. And the only thing she ever asked me to do was pay it forward with other women. And I think that's very important also, is to have like a network of other women that you can go to, that you guys can share ideas with, that you guys can, you know, release your stress with, just a network of sisterhood. Tunnel vision is what it takes to rise to the top. And when I say tunnel vision, I mean hard work and a lot of sacrifices. That means you not partying with your girl on a Friday night when you got work you need to be getting to. You not out here being reckless and doing things that could jeopardize opportunity. You not worrying about the chatting and the gossiping and all the bullshit that comes with this negative world. You're tunnel vision. You're so focused on what it is that you want to accomplish that you don't see the person right to the right of you and you don't see the person to the left of you. All you see is your goal, and to visualize that goal and to go after it. And before you know it, that mountain that looks so far away, you have enough patience to get to it inch by inch, inch by inch. And then the next thing you know, you're on top of the mountain and you don't even realize you're there, because you're so focused on getting there and doing what it takes to get there.